Hi there. Thanks for watching this video. My name is Josh, for those who don't know me, and I just want to share with you the story of how my life has been transformed, as the title of this video says. And to understand the transformation, we really have to look at the big picture. So, my childhood was really quite good. Had two wonderful parents and a great brother. We had a lot of good times growing up, and a lot of great memories. And my mom, dad, and brother have been a real blessing to my life and still are. And I am truly appreciative of having them in my life. My brother and I, were raised in a Christian home, so we went to church regularly and got to know a lot about God and heard the story of Jesus on a regular basis. And that was good as well. Really enjoyed actually going to church for the most part. But despite the Christian values that we were taught, despite the great parents and the good family life, my life really didn't reflect a lot of that, especially as I got older into high school and started to become my own person. I started to pursue drinking and sex and pornography and just wanting things, nice clothes, nice shoes, to make myself happy and impress others. And these things really continued on into college and became even more deep-rooted, more prominent in my life. Even though I was going to school full-time and working full-time, I was really just living to go out and party, go out and have sex, go out and just live for myself. And even after college, as the partying died down, I was still going to the bars and clubs. I was still just these strongholds were really just an ever-present part of my life and really what I was living for. And because of these things, I started to become depressed. I started to realize that I was unfulfilled. I started to even battle insomnia and really just wasn't happy as a whole. Despite having a good job, despite having some nice things, a nice car, some really good friends, I just wasn't happy. I just wasn't fulfilled, and it took me many years to realize that these things were causing me problems. Although in the moment, in the time when these first these physical problems and mental problems, battling depression and insomnia and some of these things. At first, I didn't realize what the cause was. I thought maybe it was because I was working a lot, or because it was just part of getting older a little bit. I don't know what I thought at the time, but during that time, my mom was encouraging me to get back to church and give that a chance, and so I did. I felt like it was just something that I should do, not only because my mom encouraged me, but I just felt like it was probably the right thing to do. So I started going to church again and making God a priority in my life, and even started reading the Bible a little bit each day as I was along this process, and I started to realize that I was like, this is good. I feel like I'm going in the right direction, but I was still struggling with these strongholds. I was still going out and getting drunk Friday, Saturday, and going to church on Sunday, and I was still battling the sexual addictions, and still finding myself at the mall buying stuff for myself to make myself happy for another week or two or whatever, buying a new shirt or some new shoes. What God was showing me during the time that I started to pursue Him again and started to go to church and read the Bible and give God the chance to be a priority in my life again, was that these things that my life was filled with, these habits, these strongholds, I couldn't let go of them. He showed me that I needed to start letting go of them, and I would try, and I would maybe be able to do so for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, but I would fall back into the hole. Try and dig out of a dirt hole, and you just kind of keep falling back into it because it's the rocks keep giving way and whatnot. And that's basically what was happening in my life. I could go a week or 2 or 3 without one of these things or whatever, and then I'd fall back into it again. So about 6 or 8 months into, really putting God first in my life and making Him a priority, um, there was a night I was at home and watching a clip on YouTube from David Wilkerson, who is a pastor, and he was just doing it was just a clip of one of his messages, and God just used that video and that message to really show me in my heart, not just in my mind, that I needed to let go of these things, but in my heart I just was broken and realized that the lifestyle I was living and the pursuits that I was engaged in, the things that I was chasing after and filling my life with, were destructive, not only physically and mentally, but spiritually, which is obviously the most important. And so God just used that message to really just break my heart and showed me how, I just truly felt, just sorrow for what I had done and all the time I had wasted and everything that I had allowed into my life and just the destructive nature of it all. And I just had that truly repentant heart, wanting to turn from sin, wanting to turn from these strongholds, and turn to God wholly and completely, and be made new and forgiven. So I cried out to Jesus that night and asked for forgiveness. I asked to be made new. I asked, to be set free of these things. And the next day, it was just like, God put a new heart in me that night. The sexual addictions were gone. I really just saw women in a totally different light, admiring their beauty rather than lusting after them to sleep with them, and admiring them for what God has done in them, and who He's made them to be. And the desire to go out and get drunk or even to drink at all was gone, and the foul language, which was another thing that I struggled with, really was pretty much gone almost immediately. All these things were just dramatically changed in my life, and I was just really truly set free, and I knew in my heart that I had been forgiven. And it was a feeling of joy. It was a feeling of gratitude. I knew that Jesus, and only Jesus, was the one who could do these things, because again, I tried to let these things go. I tried to beat them on my own. I'm really going to try hard this weekend to not go out and get drunk, or I'm really going to try hard to not look at girls like that, or look at pornography online, or and I could do it a little bit. I could go a week or two, but I couldn't change the fundamental ways within me, and only calling out and crying out with a sincere heart to Jesus for forgiveness and a change is what truly brought it, and truly has kept that change within me. I mean, I haven't even had really the desire to go back to any of these things. And in reflection upon all of this, I just, I always thought I knew God. I always believed in Him. I always believed that He sent His Son Jesus to die for me, and that I would be forgiven. And I knew these things in my mind from as young as I can remember. But what God has shown me recently, since this change has happened and this transformation, is that we can know God, we can know of God our entire life, but it isn't until we're transformed by God, in a relationship with His Son Jesus Christ, and truly forgiven and truly changed. That's what we all need. That's truly being saved. That's truly being made new, as the Bible says. New birth, being made, a new creation is another term used in the Bible. Born again is another term. These things are all talking about that true change of heart that God, and only God, can give us through His Son Jesus. And what God's also shown me is that we all pursue different things in this life, whether it's drinking, whether it's sleeping around, whether it's drugs or things. We're all pursuing something to make us happy, and I certainly was. So I'm just as guilty as anybody else out there. But what God's shown me is that what it is that we're really looking for in the depth of our heart and our soul is that reconciled relationship with God. And that only comes through Jesus. That only comes through being truly forgiven and truly being made new by His saving grace, by His forgiveness. And, I just would encourage you that, God is real, and His Son, Jesus Christ, can forgive, does forgive. But we have to come to Him with that sincere heart, wanting forgiveness, recognizing that we need a Savior, and wanting to be set free of whatever it is that you have allowed in your life and whatever it is that you've been pursuing. And that's between you and God. You know some of the things from the story, what I was battling, and for a lot of people, there are similar strongholds. For a lot of people I know, anyway. And I just wanted to share this because God can set you free, and God will forgive you. But we have to call upon His Son, Jesus Christ, and we have to do it with a sincere heart. Otherwise, we're just going to remain stuck, and we're going to remain separated from God. What we're really longing for is that reconciled relationship with God through His Son, Jesus Christ. And, we can try and fill it with the things of this world, but we're going to end up empty, depressed, and destroyed, physically and spiritually. So I would just encourage you, I've got some links below this video in the more info drop-down menu. I've got the gospel message in its entirety. I would encourage everyone to watch that, no matter how many times you've heard it. It's important that we all remain knowledgeable of that and what God's done for us and what He asks us to do in return. I would also encourage you to watch the Passion of the Christ, whether you've seen it before or not. It's truly a powerful illustration of what Jesus did for us and all that He went through so that we could have forgiveness, so that we could be made new. So I would encourage you to watch that, whether you watch it on YouTube or Netflix or whatever other avenue you may choose. But and then there's also some testimony, some other testimony videos down here, and some songs as well that I think really communicate God's heart and His true desire for us to come into relationship with Him and to be forgiven and to be made new and set free. But we just have to want it, and we have to go to Jesus with it. I mean, that's really as simple as it gets. We have to want to turn from our selfish and sinful ways and turn to God through His Son. I mean, He's made a way for us. But until we accept that and grab hold of that in our heart, not just in our mind, we won't experience it. We won't know the changing power and the forgiveness and the joy and the peace that come when we are forgiven and we are made new. So I would just encourage you, whatever God might be putting on your heart through this video, just go to Him right now and talk to Him, and just let Him know what you're feeling and thinking. You can be honest with Him, and that's what He wants from us, is to be honest and to be open and to be sincere. So God bless you, and thank you for watching this. And if you want to connect with me personally, send me an email message through YouTube here, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you. But again, I want to thank you for taking time to watch this, and I just pray that it makes a difference in your life. Thanks.